Hello, you join me outside on this rather fine but cloudy winter afternoon to talk about some very special and exciting Wellington bus news. Today, 2 Wellington operators have announced orders for electric vehicles. Firstly, Tranzurban have placed an order for 31 additional electric double deckers. Now these double deckers are going to be pretty much identical to the 10 that they already have in service. So they will be CRRCs or TEG, and they will have Kiwi-Bus builders bodies on them. There should be some pictures up on the screen now of what the 10 current buses electric buses that Transurban have look like, and there will be another 31 of these buses added in. I'm not entirely sure when that will be. It'll either be later this year or it'll be next year flowing through, or this year flowing into next year. So that is an exciting piece of news. But also, NZBus have today announced that they will be purchasing 67 brand new electric buses for Wellington. These new buses will be built by CRRC, Chinese company, and they will feature fully, they will be ready to go buses, so they will come with CRRC bodies. I was kind of expecting this because a few months ago they announced that they were buying CRRCs for the CityLink bus service in Auckland. So I'm not surprised to see that they've also chosen this product for Wellington. It is a little bit disappointing that they haven't chosen Alexander Dennis, especially considering that they did purchase 5 BYD ADL electric buses for Tauranga last year. So it's a little bit of a shame that they haven't stuck with ADL. But you know, with the way NZBus's fleet is looking at the moment, I'm just happy to get some new buses from them at long last, because it's long overdue, and it is about time that NZBus had some significant investment in their fleet, and these new buses will be electric, which is absolutely fantastic. It would have been nice if they could have, either had Kiwi Bus Builders bodies or Global Bus Ventures bodies, something like that. Had some New Zealand made bodies on them, if anything, because the quality would probably be somewhat better if they were to have New Zealand made bodies on them. But they haven't. They've opted for CRRC's own bodies, which hopefully will turn out to be okay in the long run. But we'll see how we go. Now the exact details about the size and the capacity of these buses hasn't been revealed yet. The assumption is that they're going to be 3-axle. In a press release that Metlink put out earlier, they were described as large single-decker buses, which by Metlink definitions usually means 3-axle single-decker. So I'm assuming that this is what they're going to be. I think that was always going to be the case, because NZBus needs 3-axle buses, and the majority of the services that they run in Wellington require 3-axle buses, and that's exactly what they need. And and also the buses that are aging, getting quite old, all those old man buses, for example, those are all 3-axle buses. So it makes sense that they would buy 3 axles to replace 3 axles. With Transit buying the 31 electric double-deckers, this is also some really good news. It will mean that more services on routes like Route 1 and 7, 32X, etc., can be run on double-deckers at peak times. And then that means that large single-deckers, like the Scanias and the BCR and the single-decker BCIs, can be redistributed, because there are currently a number of services in central Wellington, I think particularly on routes like 24 and 25, which are usually run on Optares at peak times, because it's all I've got available, and they are full before they've even made it out of Wellington. And it would be, and I think it'd be really nice to have more BCIs and Scanias doing those routes in the long run. But obviously that isn't going to happen until we have more electric double deckers in Wellington and on the roads, which is just fantastic. Probably what you'll see happen is you'll probably start seeing some of the Optares, etc., being transferred out of Wellington. Transit has operations in Palmerston North, New Plymouth, Whanganui, etc., etc. So you'll probably start seeing some of the Optares, most likely the Optares, get funneled out of Wellington and into those regional areas, those which haven't really had new buses for a long time. I mean, Palmerston North, most of Palmerston North's buses are quite old. The newest buses in Palmerston North are their BCI City Riders, which are, most of those are now 11 years old. They have got the MCVs, but they were second hand, and they're they're only from 2010, so they're around 10 years old now. So it would be nice for some newer buses to go out into those areas, which is always fantastic and always good news. But yeah, it's nice to see that the investment is being made in new buses in Wellington at last. Obviously, there are still more questions to ask, such as, will there be more double deckers in the future with companies like Newlands or NZBus? That's a question that we may find out in the future. And actually, on the topic of Newlands, I don't know what's going on with them, because they've still got quite a few non-Metlink buses running, because they've still got the 2 green Scanias and 3 unrefurbished Volvos that are still running Metlink services. I think what happened is, I think they bought their new ADLs and they refurbished older Scanias and Volvos based on the number of buses they were told they were going to need, and then I think they put the frequency up on some of their routes or something like that. I don't know, but it wouldn't surprise me if over the next year or so we start to see Mana get their act together and do something about that, because they've still got non-Metlink spec'd buses running Metlink services. And yes, they are still low floor, they're 3-axle, 2 doors, they've got snapper, etc., etc. They haven't got the Metlink livery or specification on them. And I think it will be interesting to see what happens in the future with Mana on that respect. Not really anything major happening with NZBus to report on, but NZBus only operate the bus services up on the Kapiti Coast, so probably not a great deal of stuff really likely to happen there, because they only have a fleet of 21 Metlink buses, because they only operate in a small area, and all of those buses were brand new in 2018, so it's unlikely that we're going to see anything happen there. But yeah, that is the news though for the bus fleets in Wellington, and that is what we have. I'm sure that now I don't know whether or not we can expect to see a concept drawing for the Wellington buses that NZBus have ordered. For the Transurban ones, I would assume that they'll be similar, if not identical, to the ones that they're already operating. As for NZBus, we really don't know. We have a rough idea of what sort of body shape they're going to be, but we don't really know how it's going to look in Metlink livery, what the exact dimensions are going to be, and I don't know whether they'll publish those in advance or not, whether there'll be a concept drawing or not. That remains to be seen, but we look forward to hearing about that. The NZBus electric buses they'll start introducing those from the middle of next year. So if you are a fan of some of the existing NZBus vehicles, then don't worry, you've still got plenty of time to go out and ride the old buses, because it's still going to be around a year until the new buses come into service, because electric buses do typically take longer to build than diesel ones, and of course the new buses are being built in China, so then when they're built they'll have to be shipped from China over here. And given how much of a faff shipping buses to NZ from overseas was last time round, who knows what might go wrong this time, because you know what Sod's Law is like. Yeah. But no, anyway, that's the news. I think it's good news. It's going to be great to see more new buses coming into Wellington, especially electric. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what manufacturer, what brand the companies choose to buy, at least they, they're showing the commitment to electric vehicles. They're investing in electric vehicles, and specifically they're investing in brand new electric vehicles, which is what they should have done in the first place, rather than fart arse around with this whole idea of converting the former trolley buses into things that I knew from the get-go that wasn't going to work, because parts of the running gear of the old trolleys was just too old, and probably doing maintenance and getting parts for that was going to be too expensive. And and whilst the trial bus that they've been running on the airport flyer, I think, was fairly successful, I think long term the project just was going to cost too much and wasn't going to work. And I think that brand new electrics is where they should have gone with from the start. But anyway, that's all the news. I'll stop rambling on about it, and yeah, we shall have to see what happens. But for now, that's it.